Good evening. I'd like to call to order the April 20th, 2022 meeting of the Geneva Area City School Board of Education. I welcome all of those in attendance tonight. Mr. Lillie, roll call, please.
Mr. Arndt?
Present.
Ms. Fisher?
Here.
Mrs. Metzler?
Here.
Mrs. Milliken Dixon?
Here.
And Mrs. Ortiz?
Present.
Are we in compliance?
Yes, we are.
I'd ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there any correspondence this evening?
Yes, I had an email from a parent thanking me for my help with the Instagram issue and wanting to see if we could reinstate freshman cheerleading. And then a variety of other emails came in recently in regards to cheerleading. I also received a letter from Spire requesting a meeting with the board. And I also received a handful of emails today with some inaccurate information regarding majorettes. So I'm not sure where this stemmed from, possibly social media, but we have no plan to cut majorettes. As you can see, it's not an item on the agenda, nor was this even a consideration.
Are there any agenda modifications?
There are. There's an addition to 4C. There is also a removal from 4C. The removal is Diana Osborne. There's an addition to 4E1. There is a new the new 4E, and then an addition to 5A, classified personnel.
Okay, thank you. Before we move on with the hearing of the public, the board has a statement that it has prepared, and I am going to read. A number of comments have been made in recent months during public participation at board meetings regarding a variety of matters. While the board typically does not respond directly to comments made during public participation, the board finds it necessary to address some of these comments in order to ensure the community is aware of the accurate information regarding the current status of district operations. The district has an obligation to fully investigate all matters in compliance with the policies and procedures applicable to the allegations or reports submitted to the district. These policies and procedures vary depending on the allegations or complaints. And in addition to the board's dedication to providing a safe learning environment free from discrimination, the manner in which the investigations are carried out often depend on the requirements of the state and federal law. In recent months, comments have been made with regard to the district's investigation practices, including compliance with Title IX. Please know that the district takes seriously its obligations to fully assess and, when necessary, implement the formal investigation procedure under Title IX in order to ensure a safe environment free from discrimination and harassment. The district remains in compliance with its legal obligations with regard to the unbiased assessment and investigation of all allegations and complaints. Further, the district remains in compliance with all other procedures under Title IX. As such, the board's policy regarding the Title IX sexual harassment grievance procedure is, and has always been, publicly available on the district's website, genevaschools.org. In the board's policy manual, which is publicly available on the website by clicking District Information, then Board of Education, then Bylaws and Policies. The district has and will continue to properly assess and investigate all complaints using the appropriate policies and procedures, and the board remains committed to implementing the appropriate procedures in all circumstances. The board encourages anyone wishing to pursue a complaint to refer to the board's policy manual for additional information. Finally, there have been a number of comments made about our superintendent, Dr. Treharn, in recent months. And while we value, listen to, and in many cases, follow up and take action on the topics raised by you during public comments, the board wishes to clarify that it is in full support of Dr. Treharn and her leadership of this district. As superintendent of our district for only 8 months, Dr. Treharn has dedicated her time and effort toward implementing not only the policies and procedures of the board and ensuring that district practices are and remain legally compliant, but to also focus on the feedback that was given to the board by stakeholder groups during the superintendent search. The stakeholders, almost all of which were district employees, asked for a superintendent that would make communication and accountability top priorities in the district. Those were her marching orders coming in. To that end, Dr. Treharn set a goal to meet with every employee of the district, which she will have completed by the end of April. She started monthly updates for the entire staff. She has embraced our community by joining professional organizations such as the Chamber of Commerce. She has introduced herself to local business owners, taken tours of local facilities like NAD, and inquired about how partnerships with these organizations and others could help our students. You've heard her talk about many new ideas she's had, one of which was to hold a countywide job fair, which would hopefully help our district and others to navigate the difficulties of having sufficient staffing. This job fair is now scheduled for May 12th. District staff have said for years that there's not enough professional development. Next year, professional development time has been worked into the school calendar. Many have talked about the needs of our district, about the needs our district has for newer technology and curriculum and STEM-based education. In these 8 months, Dr. Treharn has implemented new technology, a new curriculum review rotation is being put into place, and the much-desired hands-on science fusion kits have been purchased for grades K through 8. These are just a few of the early accomplishments that demonstrate her focus on what the stakeholders and board have asked her to focus on. These are the actions of a superintendent who wants to work with the community, families, and staff to move the Geneva School District forward toward providing our students with the best education available in all of Ashtabula County. While some have expressed concerns with regard to Dr. Treharn's leadership, the board remains in full support of Dr. Treharn's efforts to continue to lead the district toward its mission, vision, and goals for the ultimate benefit of our students. We now continue with the hearing of the public. As a reminder, each person that approaches the mic will have 5 minutes to speak. They will be alerted at 30 seconds remaining in their time, and the total of 30 minutes will be allotted for this public hearing of the public. We'd ask when you come to the mic to please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Zach Manske, 5092 Alva Avenue, Warren, Ohio. I am the GATA president of the Teacher Association, and one of my roles as president is to be the chief spokesman for the organization. So we have prepared a letter, which would maybe the yang to your yang, Mrs. Metzler, but this is the way we feel, and so I will read it to the board. As the 2021 school year was set to begin, staff and students alike were excited to start the school year. Life was finally getting back to normal post-pandemic. The Geneva Area City Schools was in good financial standing with the help from the community, and we welcomed a new superintendent. From the start of the year, it became clear to the association that the superintendent did not have the students or this community's best interest in mind when she made her decisions. One of the first actions the superintendent took was to take away the library from the high school students, which took away learning opportunities. That was quickly followed by our teacher strike, which was caused, we feel, by Dr. Treharn. The issue was resolved over the summer with Mr. Kujula, and the rest of the county had already solved the same issue in the spring. The county superintendents were all using an online program for students and families that still felt unsafe from the pandemic. So all the veteran countywide superintendents were in agreement, but not Geneva's. Within that strike, the superintendent put the safety of students at risk by opening schools without enough staff to safely supervise the students. It was anarchy at the high school, as evidenced by the students walking out. Some students even had the police department called on them for supporting their teachers. Where was Dr. Treharn when all this was happening? Locked in her office for the entire day, showing us she lacks the necessary leadership skills required of a superintendent. In addition, the superintendent had several unfair labor practices and grievances filed against her. She spent approximately $19,000 for an online program for students during the strike, but refused the program to avoid the strike, which is ironic. Later in the year, Dr. Treharn was involved in a situation in which a police report was filed against her for looking under the bathroom stall while the student was sitting in there. Further, she felt nothing was wrong with her actions. The incident was preceded by another one where she followed a group of cheerleaders into the restroom and berated them for ignoring her questions in the hallway. The board is not holding her accountable for any of her actions, yet Dr. Treharn continues to attack and berate my members over trite issues that a simple conversation would suffice. As the Geneva families know, winter weather can be severe and dangerous for school buses to drive throughout our community, especially south of 90. As storms roll through the area, Dr. Treharn's view of calamity days put students at risk both physically and academically. While all surrounding schools were closed due to inclement weather, Geneva stayed open, risking the physical well-being of the students. However, due to the extreme bad weather, a large number of students were not able to attend them, leaving them academically harmed to their peers. As the 2022 year rang in, staff morale continued to sink as new and old issues arose. Staff was still being tracked down and forced to have a 15-minute conversation with the superintendent against their will, going so far as to pull teachers from their teaching rooms. State testing dates were selected for the day after turning extended breaks, and no responsibility was taken by Dr. Treharn. She blamed the principals for the testing schedules. The interactive boards, which we think are a good thing, just showed up in a teacher's classroom with no notice, input from the teachers, or even training. They were rolled out as if to say, look at me, look how I moved the district forward with technology. This ill-conceived plan was just added to the dismay of staff and was wasteful spending of the tax monies, of the district's tax money. Just when we thought morale couldn't get any worse, Dr. Treharn has set the following threshold for staff to be disciplined: make an honest mistake, someone contrives a lie about staff, or an anonymous online claim will lead to an over-the-top disciplinary investigations. Instead of using rational common sense and taking to the individual first, she goes to extreme measures, making teachers feel as if they are guilty until proven innocent. The above incidents have led to an all-time low of staff morale. In my 20-plus years, I have never seen such a negative feeling flowing through the halls of GPS, Austinburg, Cork, the middle school, and the high school. It's as if Dr. T thrives or enjoys creating hysteria and anxiety within the district. She seems more concerned on building her resume and how she looks than how this district operates in the education of our students.
30 seconds.
The Geneva Area Teachers Association is forming the district that today GATA voted overwhelmingly on a vote of no confidence for Dr. Treharn, 110 to 1. We seriously hope the board takes its appropriate actions to turn this district around before irreparable damage is done. Thank you for your time.
Can I go? I'm sorry, I've never done this.
Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Yep.
I just want to say before I start that we do know that the majorettes as like a team are not being cut, but we are under the impression that the funding for the advisor or instructor or choreographer, whatever you want to call it, is being cut. So that's where I'm coming from this.
Can you state your name and address?
Oh, I'm sorry. Olivia Reese, 1445 Sawyer Drive. I have been a majorette for all 4 years, 3 in which I was head majorette and 2 that I was feature majorette. The program has made me who I am, and I got out of my comfort zone and made friends that I would have never even approached if I wasn't in the band. It got me more involved in the school and allowed me to grow as a person and twirler. Cassie Burkholder has been the instructor for the line for 3 years now. She twirled at Kent State University, and I always wanted to follow in her footsteps and twirl collegiately. Not only did she inspire me to, she put in the hours through countless open gyms, the hot summer, and many, many FaceTime calls getting me ready to try out as a collegiate twirler. Cassie is one of the most charismatic people you'd meet. She has not only helped me, but 11 other girls. She has instilled confidence, work ethic, advancement, and the passion for twirling in all 11 of the girls she's coached. She's never given up on us, me, she gives everything that she has to twirling. Like, she's literally the best, coach I've ever had. Cassie, your encouragement and support means so much to all of us. Thank you for not only being our coach, but also being the biggest influence in our lives. With all that being said, you could say that when I heard the funding for the choreographer was because I was in tears. Being on the phone with Cassie when she's in that state was not something I ever want her or myself to go through. This not only hurts the amazing woman that shaped me, but also future majorette Lyons, my little sister is a freshman. I understand that this may be open to it being a volunteer coaching job now, but who in their right mind would give 20+ hours a week to a program they aren't being paid for? Because I wouldn't, you guys wouldn't, no one here would, but we do stuff to get paid. That's just like logic. So I'm here to beg you to keep Cassie Burkholder and fund this program. We give just as much spirit and entertainment and skills as the cheerleaders, and guess what? They're funded. This is a standing tradition, and Cassie herself was the Geneva majorette. This keeps the cycle of the spirit of Geneva that we're all about and keeps the Geneva tradition going. So tell me this. I found this out yesterday. Why is Dr. Treharn and the band boosters that are supposed to be supporting, growing, and protecting the band now destroying a well-built program that has been established in a tradition for over 50 years? This program could be just as big as it was if we treated it as if it mattered. In Geneva, there are 2 standout baton programs for youth twirlers, one being Emerald City Twirlers, run by Janet Gibbon, and one Exuberance, run by a Geneva Major alumni, Lindsay Varquette. In Emerald City Twirlers, there have been record numbers of 85 at one point, but sitting at about 30 right now due to COVID and those situations. And Exuberance is about 25 as well. That is 55 girls that will not be able to continue this on a field in high school due to you guys. That is 55 girls that Dr. Treharn and the band boosters of this program have taken away something positive when they entered GHS. 55 girls that you have let down. This does not include the surrounding areas with baton groups. I twirl competitively at Twilight Twirlers of Madison, Ohio, and they have over 100 girls enrolled in their classes. And also Vicky's Sparkling Twirlers, TNT Twirlers, and the list goes on. Twirling is just as popular as cheerleading in this part of Ohio. If you get onto the Chardonnay Maple Festival, the Geneva Grape Jamboree, most of the parade is twirlers. Like, it's a common thing. Ending this off, I believe that everyone in your life serves a purpose. Everyone has something to teach you, and while people who are kind and friendly help to teach you who you do want to be, like my inspiration back there, there are also those who are not kind and not friendly who teach you who I do not want to be. And I'm not going to name those few, but they hit a little close to home in my senior year.
Thank you.
Chris Dodd, 400 Green Ridge Drive, Geneva, Ohio. Most of you probably know me up there because of my position, my job, but I'm going to speak to you as a community member, as a parent in this district. Your opening speech kind of made two things pop into my head. Number one, you went on a long speech about how you followed the Title IX procedures, you want to make sure you're following all the guidelines, yet you had the superintendent who had allegations against her that would fall under the Title IX allegations and guidelines, yet you did not put her out on administrative leave. You did not actually treat her the same as you treated the other staff. So that's concerning to me that you are saying we are following the guidelines, yet there were allegations, true or not, I don't know. But did you look into those? Did you look into them in the same vigorous manner as you did with the staff? That's concerning to me. My other concerning point is you said you fully support the superintendent right now, yet before that you mentioned that time and time again you're hearing from the public that there's issues. What is it going to take then? If the public is coming to you saying there is issues, what is it going to take for you guys to understand that there are issues? You know no allegiance to the superintendent. You are all her boss. If there is an issue with your employee, it is your duty as an elected official to listen to the community members, figure out if she is a good fit for this community or not, and then act accordingly. Just saying you stand behind her after time and time again, those are your words, when people are coming to you with issues, is negligence on your part. Thank you.
Michelle Craig, 200 Cherrywood Circle, Geneva, Ohio. I have been attending board meetings since October. If everyone does not know by now, I support our teachers and our children. I have spoken about losing our media center for an office, ESSER funds, IEP goals in writing, mental health, pay to play, music and choir fees, funding GIs and drama, repairing instruments and replacing those that are beyond repair, band uniforms, professional development, summer learning, hire librarians, hire aides, purchase a language arts program for our middle school teachers, among other issues. 0 questions answered. Tonight will be different for me. I will share some personal thoughts. 31 years ago, I twirled for Geneva High School as a majorette. I graduated from this school in 1993. Some of my fondest memories center around twirling and band. Friendships that I have to this day started with Marching Geneva. I am a product of the Carroll years, and I am very proud of that. It is no surprise that the band is last on everyone's list. They have been taught to make do and find a way for as long as I can remember. They have come to this board for financial support, only to be told no. I have watched band members speak to this board while they sat and laughed at them. Mr. Arndt. We have a swinging door of directors. We hire cheap. We have poor leadership in key decision-making positions, and our program looks like it. Once again, this same poor leadership has flipped our twirling program on its end. I learned last night that majorettes do not even register for band any longer. There is no letter to be earned. They are an island. Now the funding of the one person that has guided, helped, and led them is on the line. I honestly wonder if this board has any clue as to what's going on. I am sure you have all of your prepared statements right in front of you. At times, it is physically painful for me to listen to some of you speak as you fumble through a statement that you did not write. All I am asking of you is to make yourself aware. Speak with Mrs. Burkholder. She has been told that she is not permitted to speak to you. I have urged her to speak tonight, but once again, fear of retaliatory moves and actions by the superintendent are the driving force in making decisions by employees. They end up being collateral damage in the war that this superintendent has waged on this school district, all while dismantling it all it was or can be. Now for freshman cheer. I came to a board meeting with my daughter on June 23rd of 21. The purpose was to allow her to speak to this board about reinstating middle school cheer. She was brave. She prepared a statement and read it to Mr. Kujala and this board. Dr. Hrina-Treharn was here and sat just in the row behind me that evening. Middle school cheer was reinstated. She tried out, made the team. Great season. I was asked by a community member last Wednesday to help bring back freshman cheer. I listened to the reasons why and responded with, "I'll do some digging," which is what my standard answer is when I need to lay eyes on more information. Imagine my surprise when I looked at the agenda on Monday and saw it was slated to be approved tonight. 4 days. An email request by a community member, and in 4 days it was on this agenda. This community has been asking questions for 7 months, to which none have been answered. I guess I just need to email each question to you and then it will be placed on the agenda? I guess I don't understand how any of this works. There is apparently enough money to pay a coach, obtain uniforms, and cover transportation for a freshman squad, but no money for a choreographer for majorettes. Got it. Our superintendent and select community members placing themselves in a position of authority regarding non-school organizations is inappropriate and ignorant. There are a handful of people in this room that fully understand how competitive cheer works and how sideline cheer works. Making a decision to add a squad to attempt to eliminate a core group of athletes is wrong. What is next? Restricting kids that play AAU, travel ball? Kids that go to a pitching coach are now no longer able to play JV and varsity? They are too good? Are they going to restrict
30
them?
seconds.
Are they going to restrict them from varsity sports? Does the fact that they put in extra time, study playbooks, and learn the game make them a liability to their team? Doubtful. My daughter is in the gym every day of the week. She takes private lessons. She has been working towards her cheer career since she was in first grade. There are 2 gyms in our town that offer classes to athletes that want to try out for school cheer. Clean up your jumps, work on your tumbling, get ready for your upcoming tryouts. Open gyms where
5
coaches
minutes.
are available to help you.
Time is up.
During a tryout from, I'm Debbie Maylie at 645 West Main Street, Geneva.
Thank you.
You're welcome. During a tryout for school cheer, athletes are taught the material in 2 days. They learn a dance, a cheer, chant, jumps, and they are asked if they have a higher level skill, tumbling. There are 2 gyms in our town that offer classes to athletes that want to try out for school cheer. Clean up your jumps, work on tumbling, get ready for your upcoming tryouts. Open gyms where coaches are available to help. You become the best you can be. No one is going to beg you to come. Leaders work hard to get better. I often say in the classroom that one child's least restrictive environment should not become another child's most restrictive. The same goes for sports. My daughter's in the gym every day of the week. She takes private lessons. She has been working towards her cheer career since she was in 1st grade. Yes, she tumbles. Yes, she is able to base and be a part of a stunt group. Yes, she can learn dances quickly. This is what she does almost every day for 11 months of the year. She works hard, she is strong, she is an athlete. No one has ever given her or any other girls that have mastered these skills a handout. She has earned every skill she has with sweat, bruises, and sore muscles. And trying to eliminate opportunities for athletes to try out and showcase those skills is a crime. I have 2 words for those that feel this is okay. Work harder. Go to the class. Work on the skill. If you don't like how your child is being utilized by their coach, go to the coach. Take it up with the coach. Yes, tonight was very personal for me. Forgive me that for the first time in 7 months, my words focused on my child and why she shouldn't be blackballed because she works her sport like a full-time job. Thank you.
Brock Pearson, 196 South Broadway, Geneva, Ohio. I think you guys are being duped. I spent the better part of this week in between my 40 hours of work, 20 hours of LSAT studying, helping local businesses with free online rollouts. As a small business owner, I haven't met Ms. Treharn yet, but apparently she's met with a lot of others, so that's good. And I just want to say I cannot believe how solemnly you all stand against us. It's unbelievable that you take a district vote in, and I think 110 to 1, 110 people don't have faith in that leadership. If you guys keep pushing back, you're going to have more and more. If you look from 7 months ago to now, there's more people in these seats. We just recently met up with a group, actually, again, talking to people that the board doesn't reach out to. We were invited to go meet with them. It was a group that helps boost different activities in the area. And in that group, I walked in with a plethora of knowledge that I had met with direct sources about. Someone made a claim that I think someone did X. I go to that person and I say, hey, did you experience this? Hear my side. And then I talk to the other person and I hear their side. And when the stories start to match, you start to see something that we all have to do. We have to speak for all the people who are afraid to get fired, or the people who are afraid that they're going to lose their varsity or junior varsity position to an arbitrary rule not considered by the public, with 4 days of amazing, in-depth, and professional consideration by this board. It gets very old when we would just sit down with you at Geneva's library, scribblers, go downtown. There are so many spaces we could have this conversation. Instead, we were told that, there's a contract in place. And, we think that it's just illegal for us to do this. Well, that's crazy, because the position they're talking about is part of a band that I had been in from 5th until 12th grade as a section leader, under 2 of the sternest people I've ever met, and still one of the best experiences I have ever had. And the people are laughing because they know who I'm talking about. Do you, Dr. Treharn? I've had it quite simply, not in anger, but in extending an olive branch to have a conversation and being laughed at No, you didn't follow the Title IX violations. You can tell me that. And no, a non-school employee who's getting paid by a non-school fund in that role, that's not a school contract. Now everyone looks confused because they don't know that that even went on. Michelle and I at 8 p.m. met with this group because they asked us not to go, and they said, we're not trying to replace this person who oversees the majorettes. Well, I have a text on my phone that shows the solicitations at latest occurred in February, and accusations of which we do not post, stemming into 2021, the later end of 2021. You've made a mistake here with this choice for superintendent, and you can still fix it instead of ironcladding yourself in some strange dichotomy against us. You don't have to even like me. I'm not a likable person if you can't tell. But at least you can make these people behind me who have bled for you for so many years, including band members, spanning well over 3 generations. No one here is trying to bring back the Carroll years. They want the same or better than we had in the Carroll years. This is not people trying to relive some pipe dream. It's them asking you to answer questions from October 2021. These people are scared of you. They want entirely new careers after 4 years plus many master's degrees and then additional credits. You listen to 10 people and you start with a statement that you are fully in her corner. What are you doing with the $7.6 million with the CARE Act and $1.5 million in the ESSER funds and broadband grant? You
30
didn't spend it on
seconds.
teaching. Where did it go? What are you doing with the $3 million in building and improvement funds? Is this where the cost of the potential board office, which we still have no proposal on, is coming from? Why is eliminating the high school library even an option? Why was that an option and who proposed it? Why do the funds you have now not fund the items necessary? Bring back what you took away before all this occurred. And last, how are we going to undo this damage done to the community? All unanswered questions from October 2021.
Time.
Carly Motley, 3400 Columbus Avenue, Ashtabula, Ohio. I'm a graduate of 2018. I participated in any sport possible. I sang in choir and played in band. All 4 years, 3 of those I was a majorette. As a once proud graduate of 2018 from GHS, I was on track for college to fulfill my dream of coming back to the community and teaching. Being the teacher that I had in the community that I loved. I wanted to be the coach and the teacher my teachers were for me. I have now dropped out of college out of fear of becoming a teacher for this community. And I say that proudly because there is no way I would ever graduate and want to come here. Sitting here watching the community that I once was in love with become what it is today is the scariest thing ever. To be the role models that you were 5 years ago compared to now is not okay.
This will be our last speaker. This will be our last 5 minutes. Anybody else that would wish to speak, we'd ask you to speak at the second hearing of the public toward the end of the meeting.
Cheryl Kinney, 2511 Highland Avenue, Ashtabula, Ohio. I had no intention to speak tonight whatsoever until I seen something that was extremely bothersome while sitting here listening to everybody. Everybody's talking and expressing their issues, which, by the way, GATA, love you all. We will support you. Oaksy loves you. But as I'm sitting here watching you guys and everybody speaking, I watch everybody watch and pay attention and respect the person at the microphone and take in what they're saying, because as humans, that's what we do. We respect each other. We show exactly the attention that they deserve, because that's what we're here for, right? We're here to express what we need, and you're here to help us get to that point and help our children succeed, because that's what we're supposed to do. But as certain people are up here talking, somebody decides to pull out a book and make it a dramatic experience as if it's some big, oh, I'm not gonna listen to you, I'm gonna ignore you, and I'm not gonna pay attention, because that's what we do as adults. We act like children. I don't think at this point that when you're a hired official, an elected official, that you should ever disrespect another human being when they're trying to express themselves. So I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna ask politely. When you have people coming up here and they're trying to put themselves out there, because it's not easy to stand up here, especially when you have a room this full, but give them the due respect they are owed, because what you did was unacceptable and childish. Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to the approval of the minutes. We would need a motion for that, please.
Moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Arndt,
Yes.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler,
Yes.
Mrs. Milliken Dixon,
Yes.
and Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
Motion for the treasurer's financial report.
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler,
Yes.
Mrs. Milliken Dixon,
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz,
Yes.
and Mr. Arndt.
Yes.
A motion to approve the invoices.
Move?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Metzler,
Yes.
Mrs. Milliken Dixon,
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz,
Yes.
Mr. Arndt,
Yes.
and Ms. Fisher.
Yes.
Any informational items, Mr. Lillie?
You have the investment report in your packets, and you can see that rates continue to rise. We see a couple 2% and better rates now that we haven't seen for some time. So we've mentioned that in the past. I also passed out earlier a spreadsheet showing our real estate advances and settlements. So for fiscal year '22, our collections are in. We received our final settlement on March 21st. Total collections for all funds increased by about $324,000, which is a 3.73% increase. Last year, collections had increased 2.29%, and in fiscal year '20, 2.56%. So our real estate collections continue to be strong.
Okay, thank you. There will not be a legislative report this evening. Moving on, because Ms. Dixon is under the weather, she will catch us up next month. Ms. Fisher on the ATEC report?
Yes. We had our monthly meeting last Monday. Alex Kennedy, who is a senior from Conneaut, has progressed one more step in the President's Scholarship Program. He's one of 620 students in the United States out of over 5,000 contenders. The U.S. Secretary of Education will announce the finalists in mid-May. He is currently in the Architectural and Engineering Design program at ATEC, and he will be attending the University of Akron studying mechanical engineering.
Can you bring your mic closer? You're really hard to hear.
Okay. The Senior Awards, which is the ATEC version of commencement, will be on May 27th at Lakeside. The Skills USA competition is progressing. ATEC has 59 students competing in the statewide competitions in 37 different disciplines. The Horticulture Department will begin their annual plant sale in May. Online ordering will begin on May 2nd, and the on-site sales will be May 9th through May 20th.
Thank you.
That's it for ATEC.
All right, thank you. The report of the superintendent at this time?
Yes, our administrators will be providing their monthly report, and we will start with Ms. Guston.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Okay, as always, this is just a small snapshot of what goes on at GPS. And these are highlights that I received from my teaching staff, who always does great things each and every day for our students. So the first one is from Ms. Fleek's first grade class. In lieu of our Kindness Week that came out in February, that ended up spreading district-wide, they came out with doing a friendship chain around the building. So this was all from her first grade class. Ms. Leake's here right now. She came to me with this idea, and I said I was going to put it out there for our monthly highlight and then make sure it gets into the Gazette for our article next month. But the first grade students wanted to make a friendship chain using our hands to wrap around the halls of our school. Ms. Fleek's class says it's like a big hug for our school. Each one of us will be represented in this hug. Students were required to trace, cut, and label both hands in order to hang them in this chain. They were free to choose any color to trace their hands. Names and inspirational messages of kindness were written on the hands. The chain did start last week, and the first grade students, will see it through until its completion. The students are excited to see it grow, especially since staff members have joined in on the fun. Seeing students excited about kindness definitely brings a smile to us all as we work to wrap up the school year. And then in our primary grades, also up through 5th grade, the students are working on published books. So Ms. Fouts arranged through a company called Student Treasures for the children to create these books. These students' books are published, provide an opportunity for students to showcase their growth in writing this school year. The K-2 classrooms are doing classroom books. Grades 3 and 5 classrooms had the opportunity to do individual books. The students who published an individual book will receive a free softcover copy of their book. Parents also had the opportunity to purchase additional copy of their child's books. And then in Mrs. Meyer's 5th grade class, the students were extremely excited to be authors and illustrators. So when the books come back, they'll have a Meet the Author Day where students can read their published books to the class. And this kind of aligns with the writing work that we've done this year, our teachers have done through our TBTs. So thank you, teachers. All right, and on to 5th grade science, force investigations. Mrs. Alls was extremely excited to receive the fusion kits that go along with our curriculum that we received last school year. So in 5th grade science at GPS, students have been investigating how the amount of change in movement of an object is based on the mass of the object and the amount of force exerted. So students conducted a scientific investigation using appropriate math, tools, and techniques to gather and analyze data using our new fusion kits. So you can see in some of the images that I gave the board, some of the groups had a toy truck and applied 3 different forces and observed the differences in distance. Then they applied mass to the truck and applied the same amount of force to the truck. So this investigation allowed the students to think critically and logically to connect evidence and explanations to the real world. So I did include some images for all of you to receive there. So yes, the fusion kits are definitely a hit. We want to use them more, but right now we are finishing up our state testing this week and next. So that is it right now at GPS. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Mrs. Doherty from Cork, and she will also be giving Mrs. Brzenko's report this evening because Mrs. Brzenko was unable to be here.
Okay, good evening. I'll start with Cork since we're going backward, and I'll start with GPS. Some things happening again. I'm going to mimic Mrs. Guston on some things, especially that I do collect all of our information from our teachers. They share what's happening, and it's so nice to be able to share what's happening in our school with everybody. So I'm really proud of all the things that they do. So on my report, we do have a lot of different titles for different careers that I think we're working on. We have authors. Mrs. Wilbur's class, they have been following our building goal as well with writing, and they too published a book through Student Treasures, just like Mrs. Guston had mentioned, and they received their books back. And the book is called When We Grow Up. The kids were very excited about it. They worked very hard on that. And then Mrs. Wilbur is going to have an author's tea to celebrate their writing. We also have some scientists in the building. Mrs. Kirk's 5th grade class, they just finished a lesson on solar system. And they did paper mache, posters, and presentations, so they really got into that event being scientists. Also, our 1st grade class were also being scientists. They did experiments on an egg experiment, since it is that time of year, and to see what happens when you put a raw egg in vinegar, but that's not all they did. They followed our goal as well with writing. They journaled every time they did an observation, and so that was really interesting to see. And then actually watching them bounce their eggs outside was very cute. So, and then moving on, we also had some media marketing. Our 5th grade Mrs. Kirk's class, they are working on the Pizza Joe's challenge. This is an actual challenge out there. And they're working in small groups to come up with a pizza aimed at children. They're supposed to market it, do a video and a pitch for the pizza and how much it would cost. So they're doing all of that, and then they will present it, and let's see if they win. Good luck. We also have some conservationists, 1st grade students again. They're also conducting more experiments, Earth Day experiments. They are creating a tiny landfill with cup and tires, chocolate Cheerios. You know, we always like to throw in the edibles because that keeps them, you know, involved. And so they're going to smash those and then just relate that to a landfill and usage of space. Also with conservationists, the Harpersfield Rurtans, every year they donate a sapling to every single student and the teachers. This year they are donating a red buckeye, so we're really excited about that. And that will be occurring around April 29th. So all of our bus drivers beware, they're going to bring their little trees home like they like to do. And then we do have some detectives. Mrs. Sunderland's title class, they took part in an escape room activity, so they had to find clues, work together, solve puzzles, and I included a picture in there. It looked like they really did have a great time working together and doing all of that. And then we do have some farmers and maybe some famous people as well. Mrs. Bordeaux and Mrs. Bowser's class, they are both doing life cycle of a chicken egg. And Mrs. Bordeaux's class already did that in cooperation with the family. Mrs. Bowser's getting ready to do hers. But the interesting thing is they did receive a letter postcard from Representative Sarah Fowler Arthur, sharing how she was excited to read about their chick life cycle projects. And she also shared how her family raised chickens and how she started a business selling eggs when she was 11 years old. So that was nice to have somebody notice that. So that's what some of the things we're doing at Cork. And now on to Austinburg. Mrs. Guston is, Mrs. Berzanko is sorry she isn't here. She had a family issue, but she wants to say good evening to everyone. And at Austinburg, they are traveling, the kindergarten class is traveling to another country. They did a unit on Italy last week, and from reading this, I think it's stemming from Mrs. Howard's son, who was visiting Florence and Venice. And so they watched videos, read books about Italy. And then they had a parent and grandparent with Italian heritage come in, and they did a pasta cooking presentation with the students. They were shown ingredients, they sampled gelato, you're all gonna get hungry now. Gelato, biscotti, candies from Italy, and they had red check tablecloths and listened to Italian music, so they were really immersed in that. They learned about different kinds of pasta, and they made their own Play-Doh pasta. They graphed pizza, they did addition facts with pasta noodles, they did it all to really get these kids involved. They learned about famous landmarks, and like the Colosseum, Leaning Tower of Pisa, which they thought was really a Leaning Tower of Pizza. So I think they got that straightened out, but that was fun too. They were even photographed holding that up, so that was kind of cute with the backdrop. So they had a lot of volunteers come in and help, and they helped them learn how to say thank you, hello, and goodbye, and you are welcome in Italian. They wrote about, following, again, their building writing goals, what they had learned about Italy. And Mrs. Stowell also incorporated the Italian theme into her music lesson. So everybody's working together to help them understand this better. And she just wanted to give a special thank you to their visitors, Alexis, I'm sorry if I get your names wrong, Nicholas and Alex Vistek, who made the pasta, and Amy Kaywood flew in from Texas, donated the Leaning Tower. She donated a Peppa Pig book, Italian candy, flag stickers, pizza activity, gondolier hat, Play-Doh, pasta kitchen. And she also helped on that day. So it takes a lot of us to work together. And then she also wanted to mention on a different note, Austinburg Elementary School will be hosting a PAX workshop for all of our parents. All elementary school parents are involved, so they can learn about the strategies to improve cooperation and self-regulation that we use at the elementary level. So, and that's all she has to say. Thank you, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Riley will be presenting next from the middle school.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few highlights off of the board report that I put in. The Veterans VFW had an essay contest recently, and kudos go out to 3 of our students: Lucy Peterson, who took first place, Ida Saladniak, second place, and Lawrence Stark took third place in that writing competition. They had to write a 300 to 400 word essay, and that was promoted by Stacy Kaufman. So kudos to Stacy for promoting that in her program. It was a nice surprise. The students won some cash along the way with some trophies, so it was really nice to see. We also had a student in the 7th grade level, Leah McMichael, moved forward onto the advance to the state science fair as a participant. Leah, not only did she received a superior rating and qualified for the state science fair, she also, amongst other things, won the best in show in the biomedical, microbiology, or behavioral science category. And again, as only a 7th grader, look forward to seeing great things from her moving forward. Just as a reminder, Leah also won the district spelling bee in January of this year. So she is 2 for 2 and rocking and rolling throughout the school year. Last board meeting I talked about, we were putting in place a air boot camp, and that was an opportunity for our students that are in those tested subject areas, who the teachers felt were on the bubble, in terms of maybe if they get a little bit of extra help, they might be able to do even better on the state test coming up. So I appreciate that Rebecca Pierce, Marcia Adams in 6th grade math, and Tammy Sabin in 8th grade math, or 8th grade ELA rather, took advantage of that opportunity. They invited several students to participate in it, and they got just about half of those students that they invited to participate in either those 2 or 4 one-hour sessions that they had. We are currently, as some of my colleagues stated, we're still in the midst of state testing, and we'll be wrapping that up at the end of next week. I did include some ELA numbers that I found kind of interesting about the number of hours that the students actually, the time rather they spent taking the test. I think that's a testament to the teachers working with them and the students' resilience in not kind of quitting when the going got tough on some of those questions and kind of working their way through it. So appreciated all that. Some May events that are listed down there, just want to highlight one. We're going to have some grade level dances. So everyone in the board and everyone in the audience is invited to dance with Mr. Mollahan at any of those upcoming events. 6th grade dance, April 29th. May 13th will be the 7th grade dance. And then there's an 8th grade formal dance, quote unquote, on May 20th. So looking forward to that. And again, those are coming up down the pike. We did have some time, took some time to celebrate and recognize some accomplishments, obviously, of our students and staff. Recently, over on Paraprofessional Day was recognized on April 5th. We took some time, we got some donuts for the ladies and thanked them for, sometimes they are just often unheard in the building and kind of are behind the scenes, but they do a great job. Also took a little bit of time to recognize Mr. Mollahan during Assistant Principals Week. Mark, along with the entire staff, has just done a phenomenal job as far as I'm concerned and has welcomed me with open arms, I should say. So from a staff acknowledgement, obviously, I've talked about Stacy and Marcia, Rebecca and Tammy, Mark and all the paraprofessionals. Again, they're all doing a great job, so I just appreciate all that they've done, and I'll let the rest of the report stand as it is and let the board review it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Weatherholt.
My report to you goes over a lot of things from the food bank that was started here by Mrs. Christopher, Kathy Bashir, and myself, NHS Tapping, and the new members that got in. It also goes over recognizing teachers. A couple benches were bought for teachers, Geneva Images, and the jazz band. But I'm really not going to talk about all that today. It's there for your reading. What I'm going to talk about is social and emotional learning, which I think is plaguing most of the nation right now with COVID and everything going on. So what we did here is we tried to do a 2-day mental health wellness day for students and for staff. The goal was to make people, give people awareness, education, and self-care for students and staff. On April 5th, what we worked on was we had a speaker that came in from Active Minds, Kai Roberts, who talked to the kids about his own personal struggles through rap and music. For me, I was sitting there watching it and I'm saying, he's okay, he's doing a pretty decent job. But the kids were so engaged in cheering him, and before he left, how many students came up on stage to get his podcast and different information from him and looked him up. It was very exciting listening to him express the struggles he's had socially and emotional concerns, and then share that experience with the kids. We also had some Judge Camp Police brought in some addictive recovery people to talk about their struggles in life. One student was a Geneva student, and when she spoke, she's the one that I enjoyed the most listening to, not for her struggle, but for the courage that she had to share her experiences from when she was in high school all the way to her current days. And some of the things she talked about, I clearly remembered them in the papers. But she told me one thing that stuck with me, and it just says how maybe we miss things and we say things and we don't think much of it. But she said she was voted most likely to go to prison. And she fulfilled that obligation by doing that. But then to come back and look at the students and share her experience was just phenomenal as far as them giving them her perspective of life and the struggle she had. Then there was another young lady on the other side that spoke that was very interesting too to me, because she was a scholar athlete going to college on scholarship and chose a different path and found herself going through those struggles. But the courage the 3 young ladies had was just incredible, to come there and bare your soul in front of 500, 600 students so that maybe you can give 1 or 2 of them the chance not to experience what you experienced and make better choices. So that was pretty phenomenal. We had a cyber safety lesson done here by Mike Sullivan from the Department of Justice that went over stuff of that nature. We also watched the movie Bullying, the documentary Bullying. If you've never had a chance to see it, it's on Netflix. It talks about kids, it's actually in junior high school level, but it talks about struggles kids have and what they go through and how they were just mistreated. Even by, when I first showed it, when I was first going to show it and I reviewed it, I was advised, don't show that. It does not paint the school in a good light. And it did not. But what I wanted to show to my students was, we don't treat you that way. We will treat you with respect through that process. But it was a very good movie to watch. And then we had a guest speaker on that day who had 12 hours notice and came in and did mental health awareness with our students. Had to speak for an hour 2 times. Mrs. Marti Dixon, a speaker, canceled, and she came in and did presentations for us also. That was the first day. On the second day, we focused more. So the first day was very educational, give you information. It was really an abundance of information. So the second day, we focused on self-care, what you can do for self-care. We had Active Body come in, and that was movement. That was done by Brad Hunt, one of our own teachers. And he just did yoga and different things with the students and says, how can you stress relieve? They played board games. They used calming techniques. They colored. They did mindset development by Active Movement, who actually trained the junior national, I'm going to get this wrong, Ninja Warrior. And he was one of the people that came in and worked with us. That was really entertaining. Watching the kids try to keep up with him was pretty entertaining. We painted rocks, and then we did journals from the students and from the staff, what I wish my teacher knew and what I wish my students knew. But I can't even begin to explain it as well as the kids can, so I have a 60-second video done by Olivia Reese. I can't thank my staff enough for how they cared for our students. And a special thanks to Ms. Kim DeBacker and Mr. John Manske for all their hard work in putting this together, because without them, it wouldn't have been possible.
Next, we have our Director of Student Services, Mrs. Porcello.
Good evening. First, I want to address the community comments from the last meeting that pertained to IEPs not necessarily being written, including everything from the ETR. And yes, there have been IEPs that were written that way. We've been working very diligently this year to make sure that we are incorporating everything from the ETR into the IEP. Those families that have students with IEPs will notice that in the profile section, there is an area for ETR needs, and that part is taken directly out of the ETR and lists what areas are supposed to show up in the IEP. So using that helps bring attention to the intervention specialist, to the parents, to anybody in the meeting, what should show up. And it is something that we are working on. It's a learning process for everybody here. About half of our WonderWorks curriculum has come in. That is the intervention side of the reading program for the elementary schools. I have sorted it on my own, labeled it. It's, some of it's still sitting in my office waiting to be transported over to the other elementary schools. At GPS, a number of the intervention specialists have taken their materials out of my office to start looking through. But like I said, about half of it is here, waiting for the shipment of the rest of it. That includes K-1-2's materials. And the 3 elementary school units, 2 ID units and 1 autism unit, have received access to TeachTown, which is an online curriculum that I gave them. And this year it's really an opportunity to kind of look through it and see how we can use it effectively with our students. Teachers have been in, they have added their students in there. It's a learning process, watching videos, talking to people, trying to figure out exactly how we can incorporate it into our rooms. Next item on the agenda for the board is the ESC of the Western Reserve Service Agreement for next school year. And I just wanted to address it a little bit. The service contract is for what we're anticipating to be 4 students who do attend SAIL, which is a school for autism run at Hale Road in Painesville Township.
Thank you.
The students that attend SAIL are there because their needs are more than the needs that we can provide services for in our district. They are in classrooms that are pretty much one-to-one for their needs. And so that's why we need those services. And the kids that are there, they receive transportation, they have aides, both in the class and some of them on their transportation, students with vision services, all the related services, OT, PT, and speech. And I included in the report for you guys a breakdown of those numbers for this year, how much that is costing the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Liebert, Assistant Superintendent.
Good evening. I'm going to be pretty short. One of the things that I've been trying to do is just kind of showing the side of things that we approach that maybe necessarily people don't see. And one of those things that I want to talk about today is the whole planning side of ODE that we're dealing with. And ODE in the past on its website has kind of been disjointed, and a lot of the teachers know this. The things that come out of ODE don't always go hand in hand with each other, and you kind of have to piece everything together. Excuse me. But in regard to funding and planning, they've kind of been all over the place. So in the past, they've had the decision framework, the IMM, the planning tool, and the CCIP. But moving forward, the Ohio Department of Education has kind of have created a tiered cohort approach to a new system, and Geneva is in cohort 3, which means that we'll be starting our 3-year plan. I think it's in 23 and 24, year 23 and 24. So we'll have a 3-year plan that we'll have to put in place. But this new system is called Ed Steps, and it's a one-stop shop for the planning process. And in that one-shop stop is the One Plan, which is a system is a consolidated district plan tool, and it also has the One Needs Assessment. The One Needs Assessment, each building has to do a One Needs plan, and then as a district leadership team, we'll do a comprehensive plan. And what that does is it kind of, you look at what your building needs are, you look for your most glaring needs, and then you go to your district glaring needs, and it gives you a better kind of idea of how to address those needs for the coming years, so you can put your funding, your resources, and all that towards that. So that's all I wanted to talk about tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So normally that concludes our administrative reports, but I invited some of our other administrators and directors to speak, at least to give a one-time sort of annual overview report. So first, Mr. Brigard is going to share some thoughts.
Sorry.
It was so nice of you all of you to come here to see me. Gosh, I really feel, man, please take my name off the roster next time so fewer people will show up. I'm in a lucky position that I get to go in and out of buildings every day, seeing the little ones who have rings that their stickers fell off of them, to the big kids who are doing F equals MA, which is awesome. These people are just phenomenal, just phenomenal. Every room I go into, just, oh. I don't have any words for it. It's just, it's a cool perspective if you've never had that opportunity. Take a day off and go do it, by all means. Anyway, some of this was from the first day that we were here that I had to give a speech, which I really didn't like, just like this one. But in 2016, for my predecessor, we had 1,956 devices that we used for education. Projectors, laptops, desktops, so on. Today, that number, believe it or not, is over 5,000.
Wow.
So I can give you the actual number if you really want it. But it's a 167% increase in technology inside the classrooms with one less guy. We have 2,667 current Chromebooks, enough for K-12. We have 96 panels installed currently, and we have the remaining will go into the high school. We'll probably start that this week. Anyway, we've also updated our phones. They're now IP phones because the PRI system was outdated. We upgraded printers throughout the district and at Spencer. We upgraded our network infrastructure, which is one of my props here. This is a network switch. Some of you may have seen these in the movies. We replaced 96 of these switches over the last 2 years. These were 100 megabit switches. Some of them were a gigabit switch. We're now at 10 gigabit. We also replaced our Wi-Fi infrastructure. We went from 180 access points to 274 access points. We also put them in places like this room, which has 4 shining dots on the corners. We have them in the gyms, places where we never had them or never had a need for them. A lot of that was driven by COVID, but now we can go anywhere. To date, we have also repaired 231 Chromebooks, motherboards, keyboards, other good stuff. And we've all done that in-house, by the way. So we haven't charged anything more than what the actual cost of the parts are. Last year, we bought laptops for special ed. And this year, we just got these in yesterday for the teachers. So you're the first ones to see these. You'll be getting these in the next couple weeks. I only have 140 of them to get set up for you, so just give me a few days. These are fold over touchscreen. So, woo! They're pretty cool. Anyway, we also purchased 50 hotspots for any kids that didn't have connectivity at home. We also bought 8 access points for the buses, so the kids are on the longer routes, they'll be able to do homework. And let's see what else we have here. I do want to take a moment to really give big thanks to Dave Wright, who came in early every day to mount your boards. I came in for a week to help him hang the big ones at the middle school, but he has pretty much been on his own installing those boards every morning before you get there, and we did a bunch over the break. It's a lot of work. He's already done almost 100 of them. So big thanks to Dave Wright. He's amazing. One last thing, it's not really technology related. It's long overdue is the upgrade for the middle school dust collector that's in the wood shop. It's originally designed, I think it was designed for a table saw and a radial arm saw. They have several table saws over there, several arm saws, drills, you name it. And the system was way underpowered for what we had to do. So that is going to be done pretty soon. I just thought I'd mention that. It's not really technology, but it sort of is. I could talk longer, but I tried to keep it under 2 minutes.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
And next we have Mrs. Jones.
You're a tough act to follow. I just want to say I am very excited that we have the kids in school 5 days a week this year. That has made a tremendous difference to the food service department as far as the previous year when they were hybrid or only in school 4 days a week. Our participation suffered greatly. And while we were doing that, we were trying to serve bag lunches in between. So last year was quite hectic, and this year has turned out to be much better, with the exception of the supply chain issues. We have had to change our menus because we've had difficulty getting in products. Kellogg's went on strike, so our mini pancakes, we weren't able to get those in. Cereal became hard to get. Frozen pizza became hard to get. However, because so many school districts were having so much problems, and because everyone had free breakfast and free lunch, basically our cash receipts went away. So this year, the USDA did raise the reimbursement rates going into it for both breakfast and lunch, and then in December, they kind of looked at everything with the staff shortage and the supply chain, and then raised reimbursement rates again. So our reimbursements for this year so far for lunch are almost double what they were last year, if you could look at the bottom of the piece of paper I gave you. Unfortunately, that is all going away. June 30th, the free lunches and all the waivers that the USDA had will go away, and the reimbursement will drop down to where it was. We'll still probably have supply chain issues, but we will make the best of that. They are also going to be giving us a supply chain assistance funds. We should be getting those toward the end of April. Each school district is going to be getting $5,000 in addition to $16.91 per student enrolled. So that will help our bottom line as well. Because even though we have bids for our food and supplies, those bid prices kind of went out the window this year. They said force majeure, meaning too bad, too sad, we're not honoring your bid price. So in addition to increased costs, we also got slapped with fuel charge, and so that made our expenses go up. But with the additional reimbursement money, I think financially this year we are doing well, and I wish it would continue next year. So also with the students in school 5 days, we were able to bring back Santa Claus, passing out bikes this December. Thank you. And Spider-Man was able to come out to all the elementary schools, and Spider-Man should be in the Gazette next week if anyone wants to pick that up and see how much fun we have in the lunchroom. So I appreciate my job and all the wonderful people that I work with, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The superintendent recommends the board approve the enclosed 2-year service agreement with the Educational Service Center of the Western Reserve Governing Board for a term beginning July 1st, 2022. This was just explained by Mrs. Porcello.
Moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
In addition to what she said, just to share, the reason why we went with the 2-year instead of a 1-year is we save money in the percentage of fees that we pay, so it was a little less and better price to go with the 2-year agreement.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Milliken Dixon.
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mr. Arndt.
Yes.
Ms. Fisher.
Yes.
And Mrs. Metzler.
Yes. The superintendent recommends that the contracts for the following administrators manager be renewed for 3 years.
Moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
Mr. Arndt.
Yes.
Ms. Fisher.
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler.
Yes.
And Mrs. Milliken Dixon.
Yes.
The superintendent recommends the following personnel actions for the 2021-2022 school year.
Moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just to point out that the non-renewal, it is in this section, right? Or is that the next section?
Next time.
Did I get ahead of myself? Okay, sorry. Never mind.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Arndt.
Yes.
Ms. Fisher.
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler.
Yes.
Mrs. Milliken Dixon.
Yes.
And Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
The superintendent recommends the following personnel actions for the 2022-2023 school year.
Move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Okay, this is the section. The non-renewal section is just a formality because the people in that section are paid with federal funds, and then once those funds come in, if these people are still interested in these positions, it goes on for the following contract year. It is basically just because of the way public schools work. Because I know that that section has caused a lot of grief in the past, so I just wanted to make that known.
Thank you, Mrs. Ortiz. I had questions about that, too.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Fisher.
Yes.
Mrs. Metzler.
Abstain.
Mrs. Milliken Dixon.
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz.
Yes.
And Mr. Arndt.
Yes.
The superintendent recommends the reinstatement of freshman cheerleading.
Moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just that, certainly, yes, I had people reach out to me regarding this and reinstating it, knowing that we had already brought back freshman football And basketball, we thought it was good, as we have been asked, you know, what supplementals are we bringing back, or what sports are we bringing back that were previously cut. We felt that this would be another opportunity for involvement for our students. And since the tryouts occur before the May board meeting, it was important to get it on this agenda. Should we find that we don't have enough cheerleaders to fill that squad, then obviously we wouldn't have the team and post that coaching position. But then once board approved, it would be available next year if the numbers were there, so.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Metzler?
Yes.
Mrs. Milliken Dixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz?
Yes.
Mr. Arndt?
Yes.
And Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
And do we have other?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a number of things to report on, starting with the mental health. As you know, as Mr. Weatherholds discussed, the high school recently held their two-day mental health event. And so to sort of piggyback on that, for one of the activities, and if you've noticed, sitting at each of our tables up here is a painted rock that the students and staff painted. So for our team building activities for staff for the months of April and May, we've asked the staff to take 5 rocks. I think he said he has, 650 in your office? So we have a lot of rocks to get out in the community. So we're asking each staff member to take 5 rocks and place them somewhere out in the community so that other community members can find a rock with a positive message and or scene, and then on each of the backs of the rocks kind of are directions for the person who finds them for what to do with the rock next. So again, just another way to involve staff, school, and community and partner together. I had the pleasure over spring break of taking a tour of NAD. I especially want to give a shout out to Jamie, Vince, and Bob Russell. They spent over 2 hours with me. I got a very thorough tour and heard about some of the trainings, like their Airway Olympics that they do. I also learned that they cover approximately 106 square miles, and an average truck costs approximately $300,000, not including the supplies and equipment that then get loaded onto those. Some of the other things that they shared were that they liked partnering and serving the community, and Vince shared how they always like to be innovative and front runners in the industry. So it was a nice day to spend there and get to learn more about what they do. I also attended my first opening day party in Austinburg, Mr. Shannon's opening day party to go along with the Cleveland Guardians, and was honored to be asked to be one of the people to throw out the first pitch. So, as well as someone else up here threw out the first pitch too, so it was an enjoyable afternoon. And I was certainly happy and glad that our baseball, softball, and select members of Geneva's Image were able to attend and be recognized that day as well. The job fair that I know was mentioned earlier, and I've talked about at previous board meetings, I'm going to bring up again because now we have the details for that. So it will be May 12th. The Ashtabula County ESC is sort of spearheading it at this point and getting all of the districts in the county involved. It will be held at ATEC from 2 to 6 p.m. There will be an in-person and virtual option. So please help spread the word for that. We're looking for any position to fulfill within and across the district. So be it teachers or nurses, counselors, paraprofessionals, any position that a district needs, each district will be sort of interviewing and taking resumes and applications for those positions. Hopefully you saw the video that got posted yesterday on our website and social media in regards to the helmet challenge. So there have been 21 football helmets placed around the district to promote school spirit. And the first person to find all 21 of those helmets will receive a gift card from me to a place of their choice. So all you need to do is simply take a photo every time you find one, keep those, make a list of where you found them at, and then you'll simply email me the 21 photos and the list of the places that you found them. And again, if you're the first person to do this, you would be the winner. And I'll just give one clue. I wanted to make sure that all parts of the district where our schools are located were represented. So don't just look downtown. Make sure you drive all around the district. To keep everyone up to date with ESSER purchases, as I have been talking about, how we're utilizing some of our ESSER funds, I briefly wanted to mention some of the most recent purchases, some of which, again, you've heard about this evening. The first one I don't think you've heard about this evening, but we did buy a much-needed trailer for the bus garage that's used, I'm told, daily, and I've seen it used a plethora of times. So that was needed, and I know that they were very happy to get that. I know Mr. Brigard mentioned the ventilation system for the middle school wood shop. I know that when I was meeting with the groups of teachers, that was definitely something that came out of one of those meetings, was the need for that for the middle school. So I'm happy that that will be going in. The Fusion Science kits for grades K-8, I know were mentioned a couple times today, as well as the WonderWorks, which is the special education curriculum for each of the elementary buildings, were purchased. Summer Solutions were purchased for the elementary families who requested it. Laptops for teachers that were just shown. 3 servers for the elementaries, and again, as Mr. Brigard mentioned, we now have interactive boards for all teachers K-12, and I know that there have been a little bit of resistance in some of the buildings with those, so I wanted to share this very nice email that I had received in regards to it, and I won't share the name, but I'll read the content. Good afternoon. I had my smart board installed this morning, and I have to say I was very reluctant to the idea of it replacing my projector. However, with the initial help of my students, I was able to show my class the assigned video assignment that I would normally project. I'm amazed at the quality of the display, and they were excited to teach me something too. I am very excited to get to know and understand all of the components of this device. Technology is a little scary, but I'm glad to have this in my room. Thank you for providing us the opportunity to integrate technology like this into the classroom and for pushing me out of my comfort zone. So I thought that was a very nice email that a teacher had shared with me, and I certainly appreciated. Just to follow up from some of the public comments that maybe weren't talked about from last time, you'll see that we did get the new high school sign, and that's been installed. I was happy to take a little bit longer with that and wait for a second quote to come in. And in doing so, we saved approximately $2,500 by waiting. Also, partnering with the library and taking trips there. I recently met with Lauren, again from the library, and we brainstormed quite a few ideas on how we can partner together. And these range from how they could come to us and support our teachers with materials and fulfilling some express needs for new ideas and technology and or equipment that they are looking to purchase to engage our students when they go over to the library. So more to come on that, so stay tuned. And then lastly, the Soaring Eagles for the month of April. Starting at Austinburg, Mrs. Nugent chose 5th grader Addison Watson, and she wrote, she was chosen because of her kind heart. She is nice to everyone in and out of the classroom and is always willing to help everyone around her. Her determination, she is always trying hard in the classroom and has a never give up attitude. Lastly, she is respectful and courteous to her fellow classmates and adults. She really knows how to soar like an eagle. At Cork, Miss Wilbur chose 2nd grader Draven Reed, and she wrote that Draven is a wonderful example of a soaring eagle. He is always kind and respectful to others. He is a quiet leader, always maintaining a positive attitude, and puts 110% effort into all that he does in the classroom. He is always willing to help. He participates in class and always completes his work. I am very proud of Draven. He is an absolute pleasure to have in class. At GPS, Mrs. Ramsey chose 4th grader Jocelyn Ortiz, and she wrote that she applies her intelligence and problem-solving skills to everything she does. She is always eager to help others. Her work is always complete and turned in on time. She is an academic achiever, and when her work is done, she's eager to pitch in and help her fellow students, teachers, as well as any school employee who might need assistance. She is genuinely kind and a model PAX leader. This student is soaring to the cosmos and beyond. At the middle school, Ms. Foote chose sixth grader Caitlin Frazier and wrote that Caitlin was in her first 9 weeks geography class and is currently in her 4th period study hall. Caitlin is a well-balanced student who uses her time wisely and gives her full effort to her work. And last but not least, at the high school, sophomore TJ McCoy was chosen by Mr. Dalton, and he wrote, "He is always so involved and excited about hands-on learning. I am fortunate enough to have TJ in class. I was fortunate enough to have TJ in class his freshman year, sparking his interest to enroll this semester in both advanced woodworking and advanced home maintenance. TJ has become fond of learning Sloyd carving this year in woodshop and collaborating with his home maintenance class on preventative maintenance to 4 of the utility sheds on the grounds of GHS. TJ has also developed the natural ability to share knowledge and help fellow classmates in the shop with the skills that he has acquired in class or from outside research and interests of his own." So congratulations to all of the Soaring Eagles, and just as a reminder, next month, they will all be invited to the board meeting with their families to be recognized, all of the second semester Soaring Eagles.
Very good. Thank you. Does anyone else have any other?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Madam President, please let the record show that the book I have here, which is with me at every single meeting we attend, it's always on the desk here. It's Robert's Rules of Orders, which, for the record, is our accepted rules for how we conduct our meetings. So I always bring it. It's a quick reference, and this one is simplified and applied. So that's why I have it up here. Thank you.
All right. Okay, and then lastly, I have an update from my visit to the high school. I visited the high school toward the end of March, and I spent almost all day there. It was a really great visit, a little different than my other visits in prior years. I had really good conversation with Mr. Weatherholt, Mr. Market-John, Mrs. DeBacker, and specifically what I would say with Mrs. DeBacker is we talked about that social emotional learning program that she was, helping to put together on April 5th and 6th, and she kind of ran down what her day 1 and day 2 would look like, and I have to say I walked away from there very impressed and very happy that our schools and our staff are really putting forth the effort to try and help our students with this social emotional learning difficulty that everybody is facing across our country. So I thought it was an excellent effort when I heard about it, and I'll just say that I was invited back up on those 2 days to visit during the program, and I wasn't able to be there for much, but I was able to be there for their featured speaker, Kai, I forget his last name, I'm sorry, but I was there to see him who, he talked about his struggles through music and rap, and the students were very engaged. He did an excellent job of presenting, so I appreciated being invited back to, be a part of witnessing what our school was putting together for our students. And then Mr. Market-John graciously walked me through the school to areas of the school that I hadn't been before, into classrooms that I hadn't visited before. I found that most of the times that I visit the core types of classes. I would sit and I would observe, I would talk to those teachers, and while I loved doing that, there was a whole different area of classes that I'd never really been exposed to. So I went to visit and meet Mr. Dalton in the wood shop, which was fantastic. We saw last month about how his students were working on the storage shed out in the fields. So we talked a little bit about that and talked a little bit about how he's got 7 classes that have 15 to 25 students, very popular classes, home maintenance 1 and 2, wood shop 1 and 2. So I really enjoyed talking to him, getting to know him a little bit better, and he really has a passion for what he does and teaching these students these home basic skills. We took a walk through the band, choir, and theater storage area kind of classrooms, which I'd never been in before. Those are fantastic rooms if you've never seen them before. Just, the spaciousness and the idea that they were designed specifically for those classes. I don't know, I was impressed by that. And you can tell that the teachers take pride in those rooms as well. We walked through the food class, life skills class, which are really hands-on classes, stopped in and talked with Mr. Clemens in the health classroom, and we went and visited Mrs. Monahan in art. And that, I don't think I'd met her before, but she is a very passionate art teacher. Excellent for our students. We talked about all the different types of, well, probably we didn't talk about all of them, but many of the different types of art that she teaches to the students: pottery, clay sculptures, wire sculpture, 3D. She starts with the basics first. She's done paper mache, and one of her big passions, in addition to art, is really working art into a STEAM program, which, you know, uses math and science, and she stressed that a lot to me. Like, art is math and science. Like, that is what it is, and that's how we need to focus and teach our art. We stopped into Mrs. Unsinger's room, which is one of our special units, and she kind of explained to me how that unit works. She's got 6 to 18 kids in there, depending on what period of the day, and discussing with me how they try to put students in their least restrictive environment. So that was information I didn't know before, and I appreciated her taking the time to share that with me. I was able to talk to 2 intervention specialists, and I understood, and I didn't know this before, but their intervention specialists at the high school are assigned by their course subject. So they have one that's for math and one that's for social studies, things like that. So that's a little different than what I thought it was, but they said, in talking to them, they said it really works for them, even though there's different levels of math and there's different levels of history. It really works for them to work in a single subject. And finally, I stopped in with Mr. Markajon to Mr. McCoy's room, and he was a very enthusiastic man talking about his business classes. And I took down some notes, but he was at the time bringing in the Athena entrepreneurs, and the students were going to be working on a pitch to sell a product. So this was something that was coming into our schools to help our students with entrepreneurship. He was very excited about it. It's something I'd really like to check back in and see how it's going with the students. We talked about some of the things that the students do in those classes. It's a student design. They print, install graphics. They can work in other buildings, which I guess they've done in the past, but transportation at this time has been a challenge, so I don't think it's happening as often as it could or should. But many of the people in his classes, many of the students are going on to have a business on the side, maybe as another career, or on the side of college where they can make some money. So just really enthusiastic staff that I talked to, a really different feel for me in going through the high school, and I greatly appreciate, as I always do, but I greatly appreciate being invited and allowed to come in and visit and talk to some of the teachers and kind of observe what they do and tell me about their day, because that's why I do this. So if you have any questions, always feel free to ask me. Okay, any other? All right, we're moving on to the second hearing of the public. All the same time frames apply. And just as a reminder to please state your name and address when you come to the mic.
John Manske, Zach Manske, as many of you know, 5092 Alva Avenue, Warren, Ohio, 44483. Board members, I know you're taking a beating, but I need to give credit where credit is due. And Mrs. Metzler, I need to commend you for stepping up to the plate for the mental health days. As you read that statement this morning, or this evening, opening statement, I'm sitting here with my coworkers, and this is the background. I work on the mental health, and you may know where I'm going. Kai Roberts, the guest speaker, commanded a fee of $1,800 for 90 minutes. Free market, he's an entrepreneur, small businessman, that's his fee, capitalist, whatever. That's his fee. The board's sitting on millions of dollars of ESSER money for mental health and wellness. And you want to know why we're upset? We wrote that letter to you guys. Dr. Terri denied paying the fee for Kai Roberts until you were involved. We contacted the academic boosters and GATA, that's how I was involved. I was contacted with academic boosters to come up with $1,800, $900. But once you got involved, somehow the boosters were taken out, GATA was taken out, and the board was paid. I just think it was not a very good practice to deny paying it. I read the email. Dr. T flatly denied it. She thought it was too much money for 90 minutes. I just think the board should know and the public should know. If you think I'm full of it, do a public's request and ask for the email. There is an email out there. I read the email. I just think the board should all know and the general public should know. That's why we're frustrated with the crap that goes on that you guys don't know about. But Mrs. Metzler, I thank you for stepping up, and the rest of the board for the kids' service. Thank you.
Brock Pearson, 196 South Broadway. I think it takes a lot of ignorance to call an entire room of people with graduate degrees simple. I actually directly think that passive-aggressive behavior is despicable. And I'm not going to sit here and make a bunch of comments about it. I want to talk about how many people had to vote for the people who say these things. The answer is in the entire city of Ohio, with over 6,000 people, for Rick Arndt to get elected, one person had to check that box.
Jennifer Cork, 4872 North Ridge Road, East Geneva.
One more time, please.
Ma'am. Jennifer Cork, 4872 North Ridge Road, East in Geneva. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but when I got here, I was looking through my email and I received a message from Right at School, and that sparked something, so I'll get to that. But I come as a mom and as a teacher. I'd be lying if I said I don't fear for my future by standing up here, because I graduated from Geneva. I had the best teachers. They made me want to be a teacher. And when I moved back in August with my son, I wanted him to go to Geneva because I had the best education. And I am a teacher, and I want to work for Geneva. But when I hear that when teachers are speaking out, they're losing their jobs or getting in trouble, that scares me. However, I was taught, and I have several friends who are women who speak out for the right thing, so I'm going to do that too. So I'm up here because I'm a little flustered and I have questions. My son's in 3rd grade. His teacher was my teacher, which is pretty cool. So that means she's taught for a long time, because I'm older than you probably think I am. So I had high hopes for this year, I really did. Now my son, he's not had the best experience with school. We just moved to Ohio. We lived in Florida. The education there is so different than here. And sadly, he's not had the best teachers. And then COVID happened, and that really has kicked his butt. I am a single mom, and I try to do it all, and I try to be active in his life and in his education the best I can. I fail often. His teacher she can say that, but I try to be active and keep on top of him. And they took the 3rd grade guarantee this year, and he didn't pass. And I was very frustrated by that, because he can read at level and he's doing okay. And also, that test doesn't count this year. I know as an educator that test doesn't count. So when I spoke to his teacher about my concern about this test and a dumb test score when my son is intelligent in so many ways, it was brought to my attention that Ms. Treharn, Dr. Treharn, is driving these teachers based on test scores. And that's not fair, because my son's not a test taker. He just isn't. He'll take the test, but it doesn't show his true ability. And I know as an educator that, I never wanted to teach a testing grade, because I knew that we're held accountable for that, and I don't think that's fair. So my son is getting burnt out because of this, because they're having to learn so much, and we're not being able to reach the whole child because we have to get through the curriculum, and I don't think that's fair either, especially as a teacher, and he hasn't had a normal education since 1st grade. So yes, he paid attention online, yes, we practice at home, all that, but he's behind. Most of the kids are behind. As a teacher, as a 4th grade teacher, I knew that I had to go back and touch 3rd grade basics to try to get them where they need to be for 4th grade, so that we could get through the standards for 4th grade. But if they don't know what they need to know for 3rd grade, they're not going to be successful in 4th grade. But I don't feel like the teachers are getting that opportunity. So that's a little frustrating to me. The kids are getting burnt out because the teachers are burnt out. I walk through the halls to get them after school, and The teachers are tired. Like, I see it in their face. You don't see them smiling. And let's be honest, you hear like happy wife, happy life. Happy teacher, happy student. If you have happy teachers, you're gonna have happy students. If you have happy students, those kids are gonna succeed like no other. I can aspire to that. Okay, so we really need to do more for the mental health. We need to do more for our teachers, more for our children. I know I asked last time when I was able to come about mental health and counselors. Like, my son doesn't always want to talk to me. Like, he's too afraid he might disappoint me sometimes. We're real open and we talk about a lot, but sometimes he just wants to get to talk to someone else that is not his mom, that he can be honest and open with. And unfortunately, the elementary school doesn't have that option. So if we can, are we doing anything about that? I believe I heard we're hiring or looking for people. I know I saw a post for it this week or this last week. So hopefully that can help for next year. But today when I came in,
30 seconds.
Right at school, what's going on with that and why are we taking it away? Like, as a parent, we need that. These kids love that program, the after-school program. I went to the first meeting. If you were there, you know that the parents, they're passionate about it. So what are we doing about that? Why are we taking it away? I just got the email it's being taken away. What are parents supposed to do and why are we taking this out of the school? Something Mr. Kujala fought so hard to get. Where's it going? Why are we taking it away?
Thank you.
Michelle Craig, 200 Cherrywood Circle, Geneva, Ohio. I'm sure you guys all have it memorized by now. After hearing that our teachers union took a vote of no confidence this evening and it passed with a vote of 110 to 1, our community is prepared to begin the process of recalling board members one at a time. Mr. Arndt, we are starting with you. Expect a letter from Brock, myself, and this entire community. And while you giggle and laugh on that stage and are completely disrespectful to everyone in this community that has voted for you, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be difficult to gain those signatures. Your arrogance will be your downfall. I am asking our community tonight, if you are willing to help with this process, contact myself, Brock, you know how to get a hold of us. We need signatures. If this is gonna work, we need people. It cannot fall on Brock and I all the time. Thank you.
Jennifer Wilson, 3215 South Myers. I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, what was the last name?
Wilson. I'm not sure where this paper came from, bylaws about public speaking here. All the way down, D, we get 5 minutes. The president can extend that. You flip it over, we get 30 minutes. You can vote and extend it. Not very often does anybody go over that 5 minutes. Not one time have you guys said, we'll go ahead and extend that. It is very clear you're not here for the community, which means you're not here for our students, and that's why I'm here, my students.
Hello again. Rachel Blevins, 3538 Route 193, Dorset, Ohio. So I'm here to speak again on behalf of GATA. So as the GATA secretary, I want to touch base on a couple things that Mr. Manske didn't get to speak about as he ran out of time at the beginning, okay? Mrs. Metzler, you mentioned in your opening statement about how the stakeholders indicated that accountability and communication were the most important things to us in the superintendent search. And I think that holds true. But we're looking for accountability at all levels, not just at the lowest levels. And we are looking for communication to be a two-way street where right now it's only running in one direction. You have one person right now telling you that things are going well, that this district is moving forward, that we are making progress. You have 110 teachers with hundreds of years of experience between them telling you that is not true. Geneva Area Teachers Association took a vote of no confidence today in our superintendent, and I hope the weight of that statement weighs on you. because we did not take it lightly. Many of our members cast that vote with hesitation, not because they didn't believe in the message, because they believed it and they believed it strongly, but they were hesitant because they were fearful of retaliation. And that should tell you everything you need to know about the way that our building and our districts are being operated right now. They were fearful to speak their mind and to do their jobs because they are worried that it's going to affect their family down the road, and that's not the way that we should be operating. The only people who have the ability to fix this problem are sitting on that stage right now. The ball is in your court. You are obligated to serve the district, not to serve one person. So you can choose to bury your head in the sand, and you can choose to believe the half stories that you are being told, or you can choose to believe the people who are sitting here in front of you, students, teachers, community members, who are telling you that things are not operating the way that you're being told and that we are not happy. Teachers and administrators alike are looking to leave at numbers that I have not experienced before. People have always wanted to be here. People don't want to work here anymore. They just don't, and that's the sad reality of where we're at. The only one who can fix it is you. The ball is in your court to stand up and do the right things by your teachers and by your students. And if you can't do that, it's time for you to step down and let somebody in who's going to.
Superintendent recommends the board hold an executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official. I'm sorry, I didn't see.
Up already?
I'm sorry, I didn't see you standing there.
That's okay.
You can go ahead.
Audrey Pate, 1976, Behringer Place, Geneva. What was your name again? Jennifer. I want to thank you for standing up here tonight because you gave me the courage to come up. It's hard to come up to this mic. It is intimidating. It's more intimidating now because I've been working in the school buildings and I value that. But we teach our kids that we have a no bullying tolerance. So I will not be bullied into not giving my opinion and standing up for my children and what I think is right in the school district. Communication seems to be one of the two main themes of tonight's issues that we have brought to your attention. I was shown minutes from last month's meeting where the lack of a nurse at Cork and GPS was addressed, I believe. I was not able to attend last month. The only statement that was made is that there is no vacancy. So I'm in that building. I'm in GPS's building. There's no nurse there. If I did not know the right people to ask questions to, if I was still just a parent and not working in the buildings, I would not have been able to learn that, and please someone up there correct me if I'm wrong. I'll let you have part of my 5 minutes. The nurse at Cork was hurt and can't come back, if that's my correct understanding. She was hurt at the end of last school year. It's April. They've not had a nurse all year, and I believe Dr. Treharn let a sub go because her services were no longer required. I don't understand that. And again, as a parent, if I only saw the reading of the minutes where there's no vacancy for that job, I'd be like, are you kidding me? I know there's no nurse there. I have friends that attend there. How is there no vacancy? So I think the communication, which was my point, is just there probably could have been a little bit further of an explanation in that answer to clarify as to why there's no vacancy. I don't expect answers. We haven't been getting any. I really, really wish I could have an answer or that someone would willingly speak up and clarify anything I've said because I don't want to be misspeaking. Those schools need a nurse. I was terrified when the middle school had a lapse in their nurse. I have a child that needs her on a daily basis. Thank God Mrs. Damaris is so willing to take on so many things that she shouldn't have to. I can't imagine if my son had been in the elementary school level when he needed that nurse on a daily basis and me having to send him to school knowing that there was not that help there. I'm pretty sure I'd have pulled him right out. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Hi again, Carly Motley, 3400 Columbus Avenue, Ashtabula, Ohio. And I just want to state, like I said, I graduated from here in 2018, and it was a requirement for graduation to sit here during these board meetings at least 4 times before you could graduate during your senior year. And the emotion that I feel tonight, knowing that I gave up being a teacher, watching this district become what it was, the amount of emotional damage that has happened to our students, to our teachers, to our staff, to our community because of the way that we run things now is heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. We used to enjoy coming to board meetings, finding it intriguing to listen to politics going on in our community. And I sit there today going, if I had to write a paper to this right now to Mr. Yost, I would have to use choice words that would get me detentions.
Okay, any further speakers? Okay, the superintendent recommends the board hold an executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Milliken Dixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortiz?
Yes.
Mr. Arndt?
Yes.
Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
And Mrs. Metzler?
Yes, thank you for coming. We will not be taking any further action